Jen with Vazquez Photography. I help the adventurous bride celebrate the best day of her life. And I am here today because we're going to talk about the fact of you're engaged. 4 tips to help you start planning if you're just engaged. Bear with me. I am going to read from some notes because I wrote these down. I want to make sure I get everything out here to you. So first of all, obviously, congratulations. This is a really exciting time of your life. And take a moment to really let it sink in, make personal phone calls. Don't post it to social media until you make a phone call to your mom or make a phone call to your parents and that kind of thing. But there's going to be that point where you're like, yay, I'm engaged. Oh my gosh, now what? So here are 4 steps that I think is a great place to start when you first start wedding planning. The first thing is to set a date, and you want to consider this date really carefully. If you have a wide open budget, then choose whatever date you want. But if you are in any type of budget and you want to be thoughtful about how you spend your money, know that the day you pick is one of the biggest expenses of your whole wedding. For example, if you're getting married in the most popular months of June, July, August, September, or October, then those are going to be way more expensive than if you got married in what they consider off months, which is January, February, or March, April timeframe. So those are the least popular, and therefore those are typically less expensive at different venues. The biggest thing to consider, though, is the day of the week. Saturday night is the most expensive, period. Everybody wants Saturday night. And so Fridays and Sundays are also expensive, but they're less expensive than Saturday night. And if you pick any other day of the week, then those dates are going to be less expensive. My daughter chose a Wednesday because that was her actual 10-year anniversary with her boyfriend at the time, or fiance, I should say, but they had celebrated 10 years of being together. And so they wanted it on that anniversary date. And I told my daughter, which is totally true, so I also tell my brides, those that love you will be there no matter what day it is. So if they really love you, they'll take the day off and go to your wedding. Those that like a good party are going to go no matter what. So you're going to have, if you have it on a weekend, they're going to go and they're going to bring a +1, right? So it ends up being a little bit more expensive. Again, if you don't have a budget, then do whatever you want and whatever day that you want. The second thing you want to do is to select a venue. And you want to think about that carefully as well. Do you want a location you love, but it'll entail 80% of your guests to have to drive more than 2 hours? Will you be getting married in one place and then have the reception somewhere else? That, again, is another sort of drive. If so, it's best not to have more than 1 hour between the ceremony and the wedding. If you have more than an hour or 2 in between the ceremony and the reception, it's a little bit more off-putting for guests. So if you're being thoughtful about the guests, you might consider that. Most wedding vendors are going to charge you for that time in between. Like, as a wedding photographer, I would use the time in between for, of course, wedding portraits. I'll take as much time as I can get, right? But you also may entail some travel as well, and there's different expenses for travel. So you want to make sure that you are being a little bit thoughtful for your guests, but also that you have it where it's conveniently located. If you plan your wedding, where you have to drive 5 hours to get there, consider if you forget something, it's not an easy to drive and pick whatever you forgot up. Like wedding rings, as an example. Some of my bridegrooms have forgotten wedding rings and had to run home and get them. And if it was more than 5 hours, that would be an issue. So be thoughtful in considering where the venue is as well in relationship to your home. The other thing that you want to think about, the third tip, is your wedding dress. So most dresses, if you want to be able to pick any dress or any design, it can take 6 to 8 months to order that dress and have that come into the store, not to mention alterations. So you want to make sure that that the dress portion is something that you really figure out right away. You can always order off the rack. So if you're limited on time or your budget is limited, ordering off the rack is something that is easier to do. Something else that you should think about is really budget. So if you have identified $1,000 in your budget toward your dress, that means that you'll spend $500 on the dress, because the other $500 is going to need to go towards shoes, belt, undergarments, alterations, which are way more expensive than you will ever think that they are. That's always a big shock to brides. So make sure that whatever your dress budget is, that you're considering all the things you need to purchase in that area. Otherwise, anything else that you didn't think about is now going to add to your budget. Additionally, depending upon what you have in mind for your wedding dress, well, I already said that, undergarment, shoes, etc. Then the fourth tip, the last tip, is to consider if nothing else, if you don't have a wedding planner to plan for the whole wedding, if nothing else, definitely consider having a day of the event planner or a friend that's nowhere involved in the wedding. So you don't want to have a bridesmaid as your person to handle this situation, because she's going to need to be there for pictures and other things. And you want a person who is 100% free to make those on-the-spot decisions. You'll want to make sure that this person is very calm, gets along easily with everybody, is firm, not a pushover, but very nice, because the nicer you are, the easier it is to fix problems. They would need to be able to handle everything. So you have to trust this person implicitly, and or pay for a day of the event planner. That's also very helpful. It also enables you to enjoy your wedding day. If I had a friend in charge of my wedding day almost 22 years ago, and she was awesome. I found out after the fact all the little tiny things that went wrong. And if I knew about it on my wedding day, I would not have enjoyed myself, because I would have been handling all of this stuff instead of just really enjoying myself, which I got to do on my wedding day. So those are my tips today. I want to encourage you, if you are getting married and you don't have a wedding photographer, please click the link in this post. And do a free 15-minute consultation with me. I'd love to talk with you, find out a little bit about your wedding and what you have planned, and see if we click, and see if I might be an option for you as a wedding photographer. Either way, I hope that you have a fantastic date, and happy wedding planning. Bye.